Amnesty International USA, and I'm honored to be here today to speak about human rights in Pakistan. I'd like to begin by thanking Representatives Sherman, Mfume, Levin, Liu, Costa, Schiff, and Swallow. And thank you as well for your staff for organizing today's briefing. I'll keep my remarks focused on the freedom of expression and the media freedom issues in Pakistan, especially with respect to the violence, legal structures, and media regulations that are designed to silence dissent. The people who will change Pakistan and the ultimate stakeholders in Pakistan are Pakistanis themselves. And restrictions on media freedom and freedom of expression stifle their ability to do exactly that. With respect to violence against journalism and enforced disappearances, since the arrest of former Prime Minister Imran Khan, journalists, bloggers, and media personalities have faced particularly acute risks of violence at the hands of Pakistani authorities. Enforced disappearances are a well-documented and long-standing practice used by the government of Pakistan to suppress dissent and to target their political opponents. And individuals who are subjected to this violation are often at greater risk of other violations, including torture, ill-treatment, and extrajudicial killing. The government of Pakistan has maintained that it pursues action against perpetrators who have been involved in enforced disappearance. But perpetrators in Pakistan are rarely held to account. In all cases documented by Amnesty, no perpetrator has been held accountable by a court in Pakistan. On 11th of May 2023, Imran Riaz Khan, a Pakistani YouTuber and television anchor, was detained and arrested by the Sialkot police in the Sialkot International Airport. Well after his detention, officials released a detention order claiming that Imran Riaz was inciting violence. There was no meaningful evidence or basis for underpinning this order. And police have claimed that Imran was released from custody the next day, but his family, as we've seen today in this moving video, has yet to hear from him or learn about his whereabouts. At the time of his detention, Imran Riaz had been seeking to exit the country after receiving harassments and threats owing to his criticism of the current government's policies. International rights monitors have also documented how journalists and activists are targeted with violence by the state and its supporters. In July 2022, journalist ریاض was violently attacked by unidentified men hours after delivering a speech where he criticized the country's military establishment. And although an investigation was announced, the perpetrators have yet to be identified. And on October 23rd, 2022, Arshad Sharif, a journalist and supporter of Imran Khan, was killed in Kenya. A Pakistani investigative committee referred to the killing as a planned assassination. In June 2023, media producer Zubair Anjum was abducted from his Karachi home. He was returned one day later. What legal protections exist for journalists in Pakistan are broadly insufficient and may themselves be used to silence critics. The Protection of Journalists and Media Professionals Act includes vague formulations that lack legal clarity and are, themselves, used to restrict freedom of expression. In the course of targeting free expression, the government of Pakistan relies on three legal tools most often: the PECA, the Anti-Terrorism Act, and Section 124A of the Penal Code. First passed in 2016 and subsequently amended, the Pakistan Electronic Crimes Act makes online defamation of authorities, including the military and the judiciary, a criminal offense with harsh penalties. This act has been used to silence criticism under the guise of combating fake news, and it allows authorities to police online speech. The Pakistan Anti-Terrorism Act has granted the government sweeping powers to subject journalists and critics to arrest, detention, and to ill treatment. Last month, Pakistani officials charged at least 7 journalists and commentators with offense against the state under the act. And then finally, Section 124A of the Pakistani Penal Code criminalizes sedition and has been used in the past to charge journalists. In March of this year, a court in Lahore found the section unconstitutional. In May, Pakistani and international media began reporting on plans by the Pakistani government to begin trying civilians under the Pakistan Army Act, an official secrets act. This decision, which was roundly condemned by international rights monitors, means that civilian demonstrators could potentially face charges in military courts. Pakistani military courts are designed to maintain army discipline, and of the discipline within the armed forces, they do not constitute independent or impartial venues for civilians. Finally, something needs to be said with respect to media shutdown. Following the arrest of Prime Minister Imran Khan, authorities in Pakistan moved into blanket shutdown mode, imposing bans, restrictions, targeting expression seen as supportive of the former Prime Minister and critical of the government. In May 2023, officials instituted blanket and indefinite bans on mobile internet and curtailed people's ability to access social media platforms, including Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Pakistan's Media Regulatory Authority subsequently banned the broadcasting of speeches by ex-Prime Minister Imran Khan and suspended a private news network. This misuse of the government's Media Regulatory Authority represents a long-standing strategy deployed by Pakistani authorities. Successive governments have moved to suspend the broadcast licenses of major television channels after those outlets air reporting deemed critical of the government. So, just several recommendations for what Congress and the Biden administration can do. First, jointly press the Pakistani authorities to make changes to their country's legislation, specifically to amend the Prevention of Electronic Crimes Act of 2016, and in particular sections 31, 3, and 37. And to remove these overly broad powers of monitoring and shutting down websites and retaining data. And then to amend the Protection of Journalists and Media Professionals Act, in particular Section 6, to avoid broad and vague formulations that lack clarity and must be used to and may be used to unlawfully restrict the freedom of expression. Second, demand accountability for government officials involved in enforced disappearances and violence targeting all Pakistanis, including journalists and media figures, and demand information for the whereabouts of Pakistanis who are currently held in enforced disappearance, including the ریاض. And then finally, call on the government of Pakistan to end its repeated censorship of social media networks and domestic print and broadcast outlets. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you again, Congressman Chairman Downing.
I want to thank you for that report.